Okay, so here's the deal. After a few years of doing the stereotypical reaction videos, I got a cease and desist letter from the Fine brothers.
You create a YouTube channel that has under 1 million subscribers, so we refuse to say your name. Stop stealing our idea that probably wasn't even our idea in the first place. We just made it popular. Thanks and go f*** yourself. The Fine Bros.
I mean, first off, I'll do what I want. I'll do what I want. I'm Conradinho, and I'll do what I want. So those guys can go f*** themselves. However, it did make me think about doing a different type of reaction video, one that doesn't rely so heavily on you watching me nodding at things I said in old videos. So instead, I'm gonna do something a little different. And the first team up is my beloved Newcastle, who finished in 10th this season. Oh, the logo's right here, sorry. Which is a great achievement for a few reasons. One, they just got promoted from the championship, and that is never an easy transition. Two, they didn't really make any significant signings besides Christian Atsu, and I'm not sure that really counts because he did jack all this season. Three, they somehow, someway, kept manager Rafa Benitez still interested in wanting to be around, even though they didn't spend any money, and because he has to be getting significant interest from other clubs for his services because he's done such a good job for Newcastle. So as you can imagine, this makes me very excited for the future. If he stays, please stay, please stay, please stay, please stay, please stay, please stay. Because Rafa has threatened to leave unless he gets some money to spend this summer, and reluctant owner Mike Ashley, who is famously known for having deep pockets but short arms, so he can't actually reach into these pockets, has at the moment committed to giving Rafa a significant amount of money to get some better players. So for the first time in a long time, I am hopeful for next season. And that is the kiss of death. You should never be hopeful for your team. Also, I picked Newcastle to get 12th. So I was 2 spots away, which is pretty good, especially since they were tied with the 12th place team, Bournemouth, on 44 points. So I'd like to think I'm 1 for 1 on my predictions. And up next, it's Arsenal, who finished in 6th, a full 37 points behind the champions, Manchester City, so that should make them proud. Also, I know I said I was gonna make this a little bit different, but who am I kidding? I can't resist using my old words for or against me. Watch this.
But it still feels like they're 1 or 2 big players away from making a legitimate push for the title. And if they don't sign those 1 or 2 players, then what really determines success for Arsenal this season? Is it just getting in the top 4? I mean, is that really success, or is it just more of the same?
Okay, despite actually spending some money to bring in Lacazette and Aubameyang, which was a pretty big deal that they did that, I think the only thing, though, that Arsenal supporters can feel was a success this season was in finally breaking their longtime manager Arsene Wenger and getting him to resign from his post, #Wenger out. But they should be careful what they wish for, because the grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side of that Wenger hill.
Do they really deserve better, or do they have the team that they exactly get and deserve? It doesn't matter. They're going to get 4th.
And of course, I picked them to get 4th because that was the easy joke to make. Arsenal gets 4th. I actually thought they had it in them to make a run at the top 4, but when you suck as bad as they did in away games, which was impossible for my brain to predict, and when you have Xhaka and Mustafi on your team, which was possible to predict that they would struggle, but I clearly didn't take it as seriously as I should have. They didn't deserve top 4 status. That's what I'm trying to say. And now let's talk about the red team from Liverpool, where I said this.
Unfortunately, the success of his team this season is going to come down to this special manager's one special player, Coutinho. If Coutinho can stay healthy, and if he stays, which is still a big if right now, they should push for the top 4 again. But if he goes to Barcelona, or even if he stays but he gets hurt a lot, I could see them struggling to maintain their form, even with the addition of Mohamed Salah, who I think is a great signing.
So I got the second part right. Salah was a great signing. So let's just leave it here. There's no need to see what else I said.
Honestly, I'm going to say 6th.
You know what? We could have just left that part out. I mean, come on, they finished 4th last season without playing in Europe at all. So how could I know that they would match that finish this season in the league and make the Champions League final, especially after Coutinho left? No one could have predicted that. So don't come at me hot like everybody knew, it was totally obvious. I don't want to hear it. And up next, let's talk about just finished in 17th place Southampton, who totally sucked this season, but didn't suck enough to get relegated because there were 3 other clubs that sucked even worse, and we will get to them shortly. Anyway, what did I say about the Saints?
And now with new manager Mauricio Pellegrino in charge, not to be confused with Mauricio Pochettino, a man who led Alves to their first ever Cup final in the Copa del Rey last season, and with stud center back Virgil van Dijk asking for a transfer, it's yet another summer of transition, and that's going to ultimately cost them this season. I'm going to say 10th.
Well, I wasn't wrong other than the position I thought they would finish in, and I guess I thought Pellegrino, who lasted all of 8 months, would have been a success, but other than that, I totally nailed it. Like I think I did with this next club, Brighton, who did tremendously well to stay up in their first ever Premier League season under Chris Hughton by finishing in 15th on 40 points, and who, despite getting a contract extension from the club, doesn't seem to get the respect he deserves as a manager from everywhere else, or at least that's how it seems. Anyway, let's see what I said.
So as sad as this is to say, if you want to win or even to stay up in the Premier League, you have to spend an obscene amount of money to do so, and unfortunately, Brighton isn't spending enough and probably won't. So enjoy the bright lights in big cities while you can, fellas, because you're going straight back down, 19th.
Me. And up next, it's Watford, who did really well, not only to stay up by finishing in 14th, which is 3 spots higher than they did the season before, even though it was only 1 point higher, because last season they had 40 points and this season they had 41. But they kept the same manager for the whole season, and for whatever reason, that seems to be a struggle for them to do that. Though it looks like it could happen again, since current manager Mauro Silva looks to be heading to Everton after Big Sam gets sacked. Anyway, let's see what I said with regard to Watford.
Also back to Watford, this team revolves around captain Troy Deeney. So if he's hot, then so is his team. But due to his inconsistency, no one is quite sure when the hot starts and stops. But whatever. In summation, I like this managerial hire. I think he's shrewd enough to make sure they survive for the 4th consecutive season. 15th.
Dudes, I 100% nailed this one. Deeney only scored 5 goals, and Silva is a good manager, and I was only 1 spot away from where they officially finished, and that is close enough for me. And now let's talk a little squeaky Burnley time. You get it? Because it's supposed to be mocking squeaky bum time. And you know what? Never mind. So last season, these guys only earned 7 points away from home. They were like this season's Arsenal, and only scored 39 goals in 38 games. So of course, I thought they were going to suck this season.
And with their core of players largely intact, while every other club is getting better and better, I think the relegation battle will be on their front doorstep for most of the season until relegation finally walks into their house and eats their food and sleeps on their couch, because it's coming, baby. 18th.
So Burnley earned 28 points away from home this season. 28, which is 2 points more than what they earned at home, which helped them finish in 7th and qualify for the Europa League next season. And it got 2 of their players onto England's World Cup squad this summer, as James Tarkowski played well enough to push Gary Cahill out of the team, while Nick Pope pushed out Joe Hart in goal, which isn't all that difficult because Joe Hart isn't very good. So well played to both of them, and to their manager Sean Dyche, and to his players, but not to me for completely missing out on correctly predicting Burnley's great season, even though they only scored 36 goals in their 38 league games. What? How is that possible for them to finish 7th with that kind of attacking output? It defies logic. And now let's talk about the former miracle workers, now bang average team Leicester City, who I feel will now always languish in mid-table purgatory until Jamie Vardy retires, and then relegation will definitely be coming. But focusing on this season, they did have a nice little run from the end of September to the middle of December, where it looked like they could have a promising season overall, but ultimately they couldn't sustain that momentum and they finished 9th. But what did I say?
But they are not in Europe this upcoming season after finishing 11th, which is probably for the best. So this should give them some more energy to be more consistent in league play. I'll go 9th.
Yes, I rule. Suck it, haters. And up next, it's the Swansea Swans, who, even without an American manager to blame, still sucked and got relegated after they lost their last 5 games of the season. Had they won just 1 of those and got 1 draw out of those 5, they would have survived, but they didn't. They bottled it, and they finished 18th. And I said, what now?
I believe this season will be even tougher for Paul Clement and a real test of his managerial abilities. Can he do it? Or do they need to bring Brad Bobley back? 17th.
Damn it. Not only was the season tough for Paul Clement, he got fired halfway through it, and I didn't have the balls to believe it would happen. So mad at myself right now. And now let's talk about the defending champions Chelsea, because last season they finished with the second most points and the most wins in league history. And this season they decided, against my better judgment, to get rid of Diego Costa. That was mistake number one. And then they didn't make a bigger move to sign Romelu Lukaku, and they signed Alvaro Morata instead. That was mistake number two. And actually, by letting go of Lukaku and Salah and Kevin De Bruyne in the first place when they were all on the team, that was the biggest mistake of all. And
I just don't know if they have the squad depth to make a legitimate run in multiple competitions, and I think that's going to hurt them in the league. Third.
No, old Jimmy, you were going down the right path, and then you made a right turn on your head is too far up your ass drive, and then you didn't have the courage to admit that they were going to struggle. You have brought shame to our family. And now let's stay in London to talk about the Hammers of West Ham, or let's let the old me refresh the memory of the current me.
This season, manager Slaven Bilic has gone for more experience, or as we like to call them, Manchester rejects. Joe Hart, Pablo Zabaleta, and Chicharito are all Premier League winners, while record signing Marko Arnautovic has magnificent hair. It's really good. I'm really a big fan. So they're going to offer experience and some personality, but that's not going to solve all of their problems, especially if they're counting on Joe Hart to shore up a defense. They gave up the 6th most goals last season, but it will still be better than what it was, though not good enough to qualify for Europe. 8th.
Wait a second, can I redo that preview? Because it should say, train wreck, train wreck, train wreck. David Moyes is hired. Somebody thought that was a good idea. Dumpster fire, dumpster fire, dumpster fire. Mark Noble tackles a fan. Shit show, shit show, shit show. Less of a shit show, 13th. And now let's discuss the blue team from Liverpool, Everton, who had to hire Big Sam Allardyce, which is all that needs to be said, because if you hire that guy, that means your season is f***ing f***ed.
And with Romelu Lukaku gone, which is a big loss for them, I think it's going to be tough to see them breaking into the top 6. So 7th.
I was so close. They finished 8th, which is to be expected when they didn't beat anyone that finished above them in the table. That's a fun fact for you. Also, even though Big Sam won't be with them next season, the guy is magic when it comes to getting points in the Premier League, even when it usually doesn't look that pretty. So a hat tip to the big man for that. And next up, it's West Brom, and I remember clearly what I said about West Brom, and it was awesome. Check it out.
Sure, they'll start strong with their sweat-loving manager Tony Pulis and his dad hat pulled tight over his forehead, and he'll frustrate some top clubs, especially Arsenal, for whatever reason. But then they'll start fading in December. Well, they'll win 5 games between January and March to pull away from the relegation zone, and they'll just call it a wrap by April. So 14th.
Okay, so I got the starting strong part right, but little did I know that after their 2 straight wins to start this season, they would only win 1 league game until mid-April to be the first team relegated. But what did they expect? They hired Alan Pardew, of all people, to be their savior after they fired Sweatslov and Tony Pulis, and that is like the worst decision ever. So they got what they deserved. And back to North London we go for Tottenham Hotspur, who for me had a fantastic season by finishing 3rd, given that they had to play all of their home games at Wembley, and for limiting their biggest bottle job for the Champions League against Juventus, and in the FA Cup semi-finals against Manchester United. You guys remember when they did that? You can never forget it. Though they were close to giving away 3rd as well after drawing with Brighton and losing to West Brom, but their 5-4 shootout win over Leicester on the last day of the season saved the day. Also, I'm kind of stalling here because I have no idea what I said about them.
I think they have peaked. And with Arsenal getting a little bit better and the Manchester clubs getting a little bit better, and because they're playing in Europe, where I think they're going to commit a lot more energy this season, so they're playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays instead of Thursdays. And because they're playing their home games at Wembley Stadium where they have struggled, I really feel like they're going to drop out of the top 4 and finish 5th.
You know what? Get off of my back. It sounded smart at the time. And now let's stay in London for Crystal Palace, where new manager Frank de Boer sucked giant, huge donkey balls, going winless in his first 4 games without even scoring a goal. So, in fairness to the powers that be at the club, they realized their mistake and fired him immediately, and then hired Roy Hodgson, who then went on to lose the next 3 games. But they somehow finished in 11th after that start, which has to be considered this season's miracle. And by miracle, I mean Wilfried Zaha, who put the club on his back to make sure that they stayed up, which is what I'm pretty sure I predicted, if I'm not mistaken.
And this shouldn't be too much to ask, because Big Sam left them a pretty decent team, especially on the attacking side of the ball, with Christian Benteke, Andros Townsend, and Wilfried Zaha, along with new signings Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Jairo Riedewald. I don't know if it's a W or a V. And Timothy Fosu-Mensah. Now, the latter 2 played for De Boer at Ajax, and I just think that's going to help the team overall, along with everything else. And I think he's a pretty smart guy. He got developed in the Ajax Academy. So they're going to be fine this season, just nothing special. 13th.
Come on, they were 2 points away from 13th. Though I was way off on De Boer, still being around. Let's just call it a draw. And up next, it's Huddersfield Town, who I definitely predicted would stay up in their first ever season in the Premier League because they have a former US men's national team player managing them. So of course I would. Why wouldn't I?
Now, first off, club chairman Dean Hoyle has promised not to sack German-American manager David Wagner. Though if he was American, it'd be David Wagner. Even if he finds himself in a relegation battle or if he gets relegated, which sadly automatically ruins the lovely storyline of Big Sam coming back to the Premier League to save his old club from relegation, which means no Big Sam, no party. 20th.
Or not, though Big Sam did come back to the Premier League and save a club, just not this one. So I was like, half right on this. And now it's time for everyone's favorite bang average Premier League team, not named West Brom, Stoke City, who clearly didn't want to live in a world where West Brom was not by their side in the middle of the table, so they opted to get relegated too, which is so very sweet of them, but kind of sad as well since their 10-year run in England's top division is over. And it's hard to know what happens next for them because it does take some clubs years to get back to the top. Also, I know that I missed this one, okay? So it doesn't matter what I said.
11th.
Thanks for the confirmation, d***head. And now let's talk about Bournemouth and specifically their manager Eddie Howe, who, like Burnley's Sean Dyche, really knows how to get the most out of his men because seriously, given the size of this club, they really shouldn't be competing with the big boys, but they are. And with their 12th place finish, which is slightly below their 9th place finish from last season, they have survived the drop for the 3rd consecutive year, which is what I'm sure I said was going to happen.
I think last year was an aberration, and the other clubs know what they're about now, so they can't surprise anyone, which means this season is going to be a real grind for them, and they're going to finish 16th.
Funnily enough, funnily, is that a word? I think it is. Anyway, funnily enough, I don't think Bournemouth were ever seriously troubled this season as they look to become our new favorite mid-table Premier League team. So I guess I got this one kind of wrong. But barely. And finally, let's head to Manchester, and we're going to watch these predictions back to back.
And second to last on my list, but number one in many hearts after they became good again with the oil money, it's Manchester City, where manager Pep Guardiola's much anticipated debut last season in England was undone by his insistence on attacking, even with a ball-playing goalkeeper, which failed miserably. I don't know if there's any other way to say that. Well, forgetting, you know what? Defending is important too. We should defend. So he went out and spent £123.5 million on defenders and £34 million on a goalkeeper to make sure they got better in those areas of the field, which is going to help tremendously because he signed some very talented players. Also, and maybe most importantly, Pep now knows what this league is about. And this year of experience and failure to live up to his standards is only going to fuel him and his team to push for the title this season. I'm going to say second.
Wrong.
And finally, it's Manchester United. And yes, I know I picked them to win the league last season and they finished 6-7 points off of the top 4, which is embarrassing. But this season is different. They won a few trophies together. They're more mature. There's no Pogba transfer drama or Wayne Rooney, should he play or should he not play drama surrounding the club. And most importantly, their manager Jose Mourinho, who is entering his 2nd season as the main man of the Red Devils, has never not won the domestic title in his 2nd season in charge of a club. And if they can stay injury-free, I think Mourinho pulls off his magic once again and wins the league first.
No, wrong again. And honestly, I should have known better with United, but I was still under the allure of Mourinho's magic, just like a lot of us were, but I am not anymore. It's just his negative tactics are bringing me down. He has some incredible players at his disposal, and yet the defense-first mentality handcuffs these players from reaching their full, let's say, creative potential. It's just too pragmatic, it's too results-oriented, and I want my champions to win with style, which is why I will continue to sing the praises of this City team as one of the best the Premier League has ever seen, because not only did they dominate the rest of the league, they dominated in style, Pep style, and it was a beautiful thing to watch. And they're only going to get better next season because their young attackers Sterling, Sane, Jesus, De Bruyne are going to be 1 year older and 1 year wiser. And then you have Aguero, David Silva, Vincent Kompany, probably having one more good season left in them to give to the team. We know that Pep is going to spend a little more to make sure they're competing for multiple trophies, so they have the depth to make that happen, which means it's obvious the future is bright for them. Just like it is for this guy, because how about me nailing 95% of those predictions? I killed it! So let me know your thoughts and hit those 3 magic buttons: like, subscribe, and that bell for the notifications, and I'll see you soon. Later.